Every spacewalk is an adventure, and mine ended up being especially adventurous. And what happened is that I was outside. I'd been outside for about 40 minutes doing one of the tasks, and I was about to complete my second task when I felt some cold water in the back of my head.
My head is really wet, and I have a feeling that it's freezing.
Now, since I don't have any hair, that cold sensation was very strong, and I realized that something didn't feel right. I contacted ground, telling them that I felt this water, I felt cold water behind my head, and I didn't think it was either sweat. I didn't think it came from my DIDB bag, which is the bag that we use right in front to drink water during an EVA. At that moment, my colleague, Chris Cassidy, was outside with me. He finished his task and came towards me to check my helmet, and he noticed the water crawling towards the front of my visor.
Continuing to stand by as we wait on a decision whether or not this built-up water in Luca Parmitano's helmet will be an issue for continuing the spacewalk.
It started covering my eyebrows and my ears, and that's when ground very promptly called terminate, which means we stop where we are, and we go back inside.
Stop that, Luca. Head on in. Okay, I'm in. Roger that.
In the meantime, the water kept crawling to the front of the helmet. The problem in zero G is that the water just creates a glob and doesn't flow. So it just kept accumulating until it completely covered my ears and my eyes, and then finally even my nose. So I was only left with my mouth to breathe, which luckily the water never reached my mouth. I was always able to breathe through my mouth. I just couldn't hear or couldn't see anything. But thanks to the training and thanks to the support from the ground, all the engineers and the ground support people that helped me, they guided me back. They got me back inside the airlock, pressurized very quickly the airlock.
You can see some of the water floating away that had built up inside of Luca's helmet.
And in a few minutes, really, the emergency was solved. Now, for me, those were very long minutes, but I was always confident the whole time that Chris was there to help me, and that the ground was there to help me, and the crew on board was always there to help me.
Well, Luca, thank goodness you're okay. It sounds absolutely terrifying. You sound far calmer when you talk about it than I think most of us would have felt. Now, we've been telling the people who follow us on Facebook that you were speaking to us here on Global, and they've been leaving lots of questions for you. I wonder if I could ask you a couple. Thomas would like to ask you, how far do you go from the ISS when you go on a spacewalk? What's the furthest you can go?
So when we go outside, we never leave contact with the space station. We're always in contact with the structure. So we come out of the airlock, and we have cables. They're called safety tethers. They're kind of like the ones that you use with little dogs to let them move around and then get back. You can get them long, and they're 85 feet long. And so technically, we could only go about 185 feet away from the airlock, which is where we position ourselves.
I must ask you, can you give us a demonstration of zero gravity? I'm sure lots of our viewers would like to see how it works.
So I have here things that most people find important, and it's food and a drink. So this is a special food that I will eat next week for an experiment. And the demonstration on zero G is that food is very light on the space station. It's actually it's so light that it floats, and the same for fluids. So this is some orange juice that I rehydrated, and I better get it before it goes all the way to the top.
You've been practicing that, Luca. That's very impressive.
That's one of the things that we can do in zero G.